thank you everybody for attending the last podcast for 2021 that we are doing. As you can see, we're all in the holiday spirit. We've got Christmas, we've got New Year's, we got whatever Rob's wearing.
We got disco lights.
Christmas past. And this is a special webinar, and we are recording it, and we're going to broadcast it out there because not only is it the holiday season, but it is the end of the year. And there's no better time to start planning for your success for 2022 than right now. And I'll have Rob introduce our guest here, who will talk about planning and who she is. And I will paste into the chat box right now all of our contact information. But let me throw it off to my partner, Rob. Rob, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Paul. Always a pleasure to do these podcasts with you. I think we're really covering a lot of unique topics this year. They're in a niche that a lot of people don't really think about, which is business development for real estate offices. And I'm just super pumped to have Clara on here today because, as you know, we love to have special guests that come on that have a bit of expertise in the field. And so one of the things that we love about Clara is that she's great at business planning. And so maybe, Clara, you can maybe just talk a little bit about yourself and what you've got to chat about today. That would be great.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm going to take my hat off for right now because it's not quite time to party. So yes, my name is Clara Capano, and I am a professional speaker and master level trainer with Ninja Selling Systems. And we are all about teaching agents and leadership, how to draft and run a purpose-driven business. So I've been in the real estate industry since 1993. And I've worked all gamuts. Paul and I have known each other for a long time. I spent years on a high performance team, as well as about 10 years in leadership. So it is my very favorite thing to do is to really get down into the planning and teaching everyone how to show up as a CEO of their own business and really just work more purposefully and learn how to deliver value. So that's what I'm here to talk about.
That's great. Yeah. When I was the CFO for Coldwell Banker Residential here in Colorado, Clara was one of our top managing brokers. So always good to see her again. And I'm so proud that she's branched off and is now imparting her wisdom on how to build a great office. So why don't we kick it off? So what are some of the things that managing brokers should start thinking about when planning 2022 here?
So, definitely they need to get their agents doing a written plan. And, so many times, this is one of the things that I learned when I was in leadership is the agents knew how to sell real estate. But what they really needed help on was running a business. And so I think they really need to sit down with their team and talk with them about changing their mindset. It's not just about being a realtor and selling real estate. It's about running a lasting and sustainable business. And so I think really getting them to do a written plan that's going to get them clear on their target audience, the value that they want to bring, how they're going to stay connected, but not just stay connected and deliver value during the transaction, but also how are we going to stay connected with them and add value between the transactions. So many times we refer to our clients, they close, and then they're a past client. The wrong way to look at it. Everybody's a client. So we've got to have a system to stay connected with them between and deliver that value and build that trust. I also think, again, really thinking about the vision. I think the first thing that people do when they do a written plan is they jump into the goals as far as how much money do I want to make? How many transactions do I want to close? And that's part of it. But the most important thing is the vision behind it. Why? Why does that goal matter to them? What is it really going to mean to them? What is it going to unlock and allow them to do? So one of the things I try to do with the people that I work with is start with that vision. Who is it you want to become? If your goal is to be a $50 million producer, well, what does that mean? If your goal is to run an office that has 125 producing brokers, what does that mean? What does that look like? What are the habits and the disciplines that you need to run on a daily basis so that you can step into becoming that person? So I think just really looking at some of those components and putting it down, pen to paper, and really writing out their plan and their roadmap to success. I don't actually like to call it a business plan. I prefer to call it a success plan because that's really what we're trying to do.
So do you have like some templates or some signposts to help managing brokers guide these agents into writing a plan? Because I would imagine, when you sit down with an agent or even a managing broker and say, hey, could you write me up a success plan? They're going to be like, oh my God, now, I got something else to do.
Yeah.
Even though we all know it's
templates.
important.
Of course I have templates. I have lots of templates. And I'll be honest, my templates are long. They're 20 pages long because you're running a business. And it really is, again, walking them through. The first thing that they need to do is review. It's all about learning and identifying what happened this year, because success leaves clues. And if something worked for me this year, how can I take it into the new year and maybe just give that 1 degree difference? If it didn't work, why? Analyzing why it didn't work. Did I not have a system? Was it just not the right thing for me? Then we can start to look at the vision that we have for this year and create then our business goals, our income goals from there. Then going into, again, who's our target audience? How are we going to deliver value? What is it that they really need from us? And then, again, from there, getting dialed into the core activities, and then creating what we call in Ninja their flow plan, which is how they're going to stay connected. They're generating lead, their personal connection plan with people. So it's really, it's not just about the numbers. It's going into who is it they need to become and really getting clear on delivering value to their target audience.
I love that. So success leaves clues line. That's really good.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Is identifying who it is you want to become. Who else is like that?
Mm-hmm.
If one of my agents really wants to get good at doing open houses, well, who's already doing open houses and what can they learn from them? There's a great book and it's called Smart Cuts. And I forget the person of the name. I think it's Adam Grant, but I could be wrong. But he wrote this book, and you don't want to take shortcuts, because shortcuts mean you miss something. Smart Cuts is learning from others so that we can cut our learning curve in half. So yeah, we have to look at others that are having success and learn from them.
Given that, Rob and I are in the recruiting business, right? So I got OnTask, the CRM, to allow you to connect with agents in your MLS. And of course, Rob does the personal reach out through his calling service through OnTask, of course. So from the managing broker's perspective and planning for success for 2022 and recruiting, I mean, how do you see some of this business plan not only being put together for the managing broker, but is it a tool they can use to attract agents into their brokerage?
Absolutely, because it starts with their vision as well. What is the vision they have for their organization? How large do they want it? Some agents want newer agents. Some people only want experienced agents. Some want a cross culture. So again, you have to get clear on who are you? What is the vision that you have? And again, your target audience, who are the agents that you want to have in there? Because then you've got to work on finding them. And what I love about what your company is doing is it's allowing them to go into their area and say, this is the target audience. This is the type of agent that would fit well with our culture, because we don't need all of them. We want the right ones that are going to, again, fit with us. And then we can go out and start to reach with them. And it's the same thing we teach our agents. We teach our agents to be there, to know their clients, to know their sphere of influence, to stay connected. It's the same thing. It's pay attention to the ones that would be a good fit for you. Give them credit. If you notice that they got a new listing or a price reduction or had a closing, pay attention to their production if it's going up or down, because if you can help them grow a better business, live a better life, that's a great way to add value to them. So I think, again, everything that we teach our agents, we have to do. So we have to have a business plan too. How are we going to stay in flow with them? How are we going to add value? How are we going to highlight how our culture, how our company, how our tools are going to solve their greatest challenges and elevate them to the next level?
It's a great point. I think targeted outreach is something that, big companies like Amazon, I mean, you look at, they're sending you a package now, they advertise their movies on the strip right there that keeps the tape that keeps the package together, so targeted marketing and targeted outreach is, I think, something that, Paul was touching on there. And as well, Clara, you as well, it's something that, if you're going to start to do outreach, and I think one of the things that, when someone starts an office or they're busy running an office that maybe has a few agents, so they're still selling, the number one thing that gets put on the back burner is the business development of the office. And I think that a lot of people go into it cold anyways, and they think, oh, I'll just do this, or I'll send out an email, I'll do that. And it ends up becoming a futile effort, and they get discouraged, and then they leave it on even further on the back burner, put it on the shelf. Let's talk about that's taken care of. We'll do it again next year, that type of thing. Where now I think, in recent years, especially with Paul and I working together, you've got systems where you can affordably hire people to do the outreach for you and use software like Paul's, where let's say, Clara, you want to target agents that are doing between 5 and 12 deals. There's a lot of people doing that kind of business, a deal a month. Great people to recruit. People that are doing 100, maybe a tougher sell for the office. So why put them on your list? Why waste 20 calls calling them when it's going to take too long to bring them in, that type of thing. And so I think that's another thing that agents can do as well is that targeted outreach where maybe, their sweet spot is selling condos that are $300,000 to $500,000. And they should just try and do 25 of those a year instead of trying to sell $2-3 million houses that they're going to have a tough time selling. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, and that is why it is imperative that the leadership does their written plan too, because again, they got to get clear on who they are. And it's not that one is better than the other. You just got to know, who are you? Who is it that you want to bring in? Like I called them Jan Brady. I love to get that middle tier agent because they weren't the brand new babies and they weren't the top producers, but oftentimes those middle producers are the ones that were getting left behind and ignored, like Jan Brady. So I knew if I could bring them in and cultivate them and help them increase their business, I would have loyalty forever. So that was my vision, and that's who I went after. But there's other companies, again, that go after, the agents that are brand new. Some only want top tier. So you got to have your vision clear, and you've got to start really then saying, okay, what are the actions? Again, how am I going to deliver value? How do I talk to that person? One of the things I learned early on, and regardless of what industry you're in, it's what is your clients, your target audiences, what is their greatest challenge? And how can you be the solution to that challenge? So I think that's a big question that leadership needs to ask going into the upcoming year. Who is your person? What are their greatest challenges? And what 3 to 5 tools do you really have to help them? Because that's the message we want to share.
Right. I mean,
I love it.
I think when you're recruiting, you don't want it to just talk about commission splits, right? I mean, if you can show an agent your vision, and you go through the motion that says, I work with all of my agents on a annual plan, and we do quarterly follow-ups.
Yes.
Because I'm here to help you grow your business. Because as you said, it's not just about selling the next house. It's about growing your business. And what's good for the agent ends up being good for the agency, right? So I would imagine that's a pretty good recruiting tool. I mean, based on, all the work you've done with managing brokers and agents, I mean, what is their take on what you bring to the table? I mean, I would imagine they're pretty excited about it and get more productive.
They are, because it's really helping them bring the right people on. It's really helping them, think about the culture, because you have to think of culture like a fruit bowl. If you have one piece of bad fruit, it's going to ruin the rest of the fruit. So again, you want to be very strategic and bring in the right people that are going to allow everybody to grow. So thinking about that, and then really making sure, because we grow stronger together. So, you want to do a lot of work. And I encourage, a lot of leadership. Look at somebody like Patrick Lencioni. He does a lot of work and a lot of books on team building, and really bringing in, he has one book, it's excellent. It's called The Ideal Player. And it talks about, again, bringing in the right people that are going to fit and strengthen the organization as a whole. Paul, I love what you said about not just doing the plan with them, but then meeting with them on a regular basis. They have to stay connected with them on a quarterly basis and really make sure, again, how they're doing with everything so that they're staying. And, when you share your vision with somebody and then you tell them, I want you to be a part of this vision. Outside of food, clothing, and shelter, human connection is the next basic thing that people need. And we're starving for it right now. People want to belong. So when they know that you want them, not for their production, but for who they are and how they're going to be a part of this vision, it bonds you on a level that's something you can't pay for. And so again, I think about really, one of the things we also encourage people to do is know your people's life goals. Teach them how to live a life. Teach them how real estate can be the conduit to have them achieve their vision for their life, for their families, for their dreams. So it's not just about, I want you in here because I want to make money off you and I can help you make more business. It's by increasing your business, let's look at the other things you can create in your life. Let's help you create your legacy and be able to create long-term wealth so that when you decide to retire, you can actually live. And don't wait until then. Let's make sure we're living every year. So again, it's being there with them as their coach, as their mentor, as their guide, making sure they're working when they need to work, but also that they're taking time off too.
Perfect. Oh, there's Rob. He's back. We opened it up to questions, obviously.
Just to interrupt. Sorry to interrupt there. What Clara was saying is all about retention. You know what I mean? Like, that's all great points. I mean, let's say you get Paul's software, you hire us to do some calls. All of a sudden, you're getting 2 or 3 appointments a week, 2 or 3 recruits a month. How are you going to hang on to them? Everything that Clara just said there is sage advice on how to, not just, I hate to use the word cozy up, but make these people part of your circle. You know what I mean? I mean, any of the brokers that I worked for before I started this company, that were good people that ran a brokerage, people loved them. It was either because the way they ran the office or because they were still selling and they were in the field and they understood what was going on. And they built relationships on that and built support because of that. And sure, you're having a party here and that type of thing. But when it comes to doing the deals and making things go smoothly for the clients, I think that whole thing that you were just talking about there, Claire, really trickles down into the client experience. And at the end of the day, if you've got an office where people are raving about the client experience, you're going to be, you're going to have another successful year.
Exactly.
Right. And we got a referral piece and OnTask. And I think it was our second webinar, Rob, where we had the agents on, and they said, the most important thing in recruiting us is that you make a connection with us, right? Make us feel important, because if we're just another drip campaign on your way to growing your office, they're not going to pay much attention. So they really needed that personal touch, and having a business plan or having the opportunity to sit down and show them how they can grow their business using, let's say, one of Clara's templates, I think would go a long way to say, you know what, this isn't just a regular drip call or email I'm getting. This is someone that's actually very interested in helping me get to the success I want to get. So again, on questions, if anyone has any questions, you can just type it in the chat box. I did go ahead and I put in all of our contact information. So you got Clara there. She has her own website, which will go into great detail about her. And as she elaborated, she's got lots of experience in real estate, and she's a professional speaker. And then, Rob and I, although if you're not a user of OnTask, maybe you don't, but we also have our own, you can reach out to us and contact us. Actually, I don't know if I put the websites in here. Let me go ahead and type that in here.
One of the other things for the people on the call today, if they're looking to get started with OnTask with the executive recruiter calls, we actually are waiving our $200 setup fee for anybody who's tuned in today. So if you sign up in the next couple of days for calls and software, we're happy to waive the setup, which is a nice savings at this time of year, put it towards something else. But then you're in a good position to get started for next year, because right now, people are switching. That's December, right? If you started in September, you will probably see, 5 recruits coming through the door right now. But again, December, you have people that are trying to make that last minute switch for the new year. And so it's a great month to not slack off. I am taking a couple of days off this week, and then I am back to the grind on Monday all the way through to the 1st, because I find the more productive I am at this part of the year, the more successful I am before the end of the first quarter. And I think a lot of people think of it the other way, where they take August off and they take December off and they think, okay, well, whatever. And then they wonder why the ball has slowed down in January. They wonder why the ball, it's just the game has slowed down for September. You've got to keep pushing in these slower times when you've got all these opportunities. I think right now, because of what's happened in the last 2 years, there's been a lot of people, and I'm talking a lot, ignoring the opportunities that are available to us right now. There is a lot of opportunity in this world right now that so many people are ghosting. They're just saying, you know what, to heck with it. I'm just going to take this, government dole or whatever I'm going to do, or I'm just going to live somewhere super cheap and just forget about everything and try and deal with that. Whereas if you want to become more successful right now, as much as there may be a division of classes and it sounds terrible, if you want to become more successful right now, it is the time. Because it was like when I started recruiting in 2008, I shouldn't have been going into the real estate business. There's no way, but I did. And it was the smartest thing I ever did, because the systems that I learned while people were having a tough time because of the subprime mortgage crisis have carried me through to today. And every time there's been some sort of an issue, including the last 2 years, I've consequently done better. But that comes down to planning and strategically working through the tough times. And I think if you talk to someone like Clara, she'll get you jazzed about that and come up with a plan for you. So I highly recommend talking to Clara.
Yeah, and I think it's all about relationships. Build relationships. Come from a place of serving others, value, and trust. That's how you build long-term success.
Perfect. So why don't you give us a closing soundbite? And then, as I said, this will be recorded and distributed out for sharing and viewing again. I got all of our contact information in the chat box along with our website. So we look forward to helping you grow a successful office in 2022. Clara, what's your final tidbit?
I have my quote of the day. If you fail to plan, then you plan to fail. So I think we've all heard that. And I think just create your plan, show up and stay consistent, and always lead from your heart and your authenticity. You'll never go wrong.
Rob?
I love it. I've got one too. Wag more, bark less. Listen to what they have to say. Don't try and just tell them what they need to do. Listen to them.
Well, so yeah, everybody go out and plan your year. Have a great year.
There we go.